First website member says, what is the difference between creating drama and being genuinely sad? It's a good question. I'm not sure I've been asked that before. I've had 2 calls recently, one with Lucy, you say, who seemed unhappy, and I reacted with a lot of compassion. But by the end of the call, she seemed to have convinced herself that she was just creating drama and not being sad, like she was doing her duty to admit she was making a mistake. I don't know how to recognize this difference in these people, you say. We can make this pretty simple. Genuine sadness is proportional to an event or condition. If you're sad about your spouse dying, then how much is just genuine sadness? The sadness that would go along with your spouse dying. That amount. That turns out that's a unit. Spouse dying sadness. Drama is not proportional. You could, for example, another way to illustrate this, you could see the blog from, 13 July 2016. That will talk more about that. Drama is very sneaky because it piggybacks on genuine sadness. And many people can't tell the difference when it does that. So you let somebody in the room, but it turns out that they have a poisonous snake in their pocket. That's kind of what drama does. It's sneaky because it turns out that the events are true. We don't just mostly, I do know people who make up drama out of breathing, but mostly we just exaggerate real events. And then the effects of the real events to the point where we either escape responsibility or we get kind of a kick out of them. That's why people are dramatic. Drama is powerfully addictive. It just gives us a lot. I define drama as adding hyperinflated emotion, which would include fear, anger, withdrawal, victimhood, to any simple situation or interaction. Now, here are a few common examples of people being dramatic. And I reiterate that this is so common that most of us, if we heard these phrases, wouldn't recognize drama in 100 years. They're just so normal. So somebody comes in the room and says, "You will not believe what just happened to me." How many times have you heard that? I'd say you almost have to be dead to have it not be in the hundreds. Hundreds of times people have begun a conversation like that. Why do they do it? Because when they come in and say, "You will not believe," everybody's going, "Believe what?" They know the drama. They know that a circus act is being introduced. Really? When I'm Googling things on the internet, on the right third of the quarter of the page, you all know about it. It shows little pictures and innocent pictures usually. Well, no, always. They don't show porn on the page unless you click on it. And little innocent pictures, and it says, "You really have to see this. You will not believe this picture." Well, do you really have to click on it to know that the picture's probably not going to be like educational? It's not going to be how to do multiplication tables easier. So that's one, very common. Or, "My boss is so terrible," notice the word "so," "I don't think I can stand it for another minute." Drama. As opposed to saying nothing, and you have a difficult boss who's inconvenient, and turns out he pays you to work for him being inconvenient, and you cash his check every week, and then you complain about him being so terrible. Well, if it were true that you couldn't stand it for another minute, then we wouldn't be talking about it, would we? We'd be talking about you're finding your next terrible job, who you're going to find that you can't stand for another minute. Another example, "My husband is impossible." Impossible is a great word for dramatists. Impossible so much. can't stand it, not believe. These are the stock and trade of people who are addicted to drama. My husband's impossible. He never listens to anything I say. People engaged in drama use the words anything, everything, nothing, ever, never. They use those words a lot because it is what? More truthful? No, dramatic. Another, my children are driving me crazy. Notice it's being done to him or her. And it's crazy, not my children are acting their age, which is usually the case, or my children's behavior is wildly unacceptable because I never had the guts to teach them. No, dramatists never say that. They're driving me crazy. All day, I listen to them argue and whine and ask questions. So people in drama always blame, and it's always big. People in drama never say, I have children who are really difficult because they have a terrible mother or father, meaning themselves. Another, just for fun. I have a million things to do today. Remember, I talked about drama as exaggeration. A million. I've never personally done a million things in a day, but maybe there's somebody who has. I've done a lot. How could I possibly get it all done? Notice the variation on the word impossible again. More drama. Other examples I'm just going to, that are just briefly kind of attitudes or approaches. Exaggeration. If something is painful, we describe it as very painful. Horribilization. I'm not sure if that's a word, but if an inconvenience or discomfort is small, then we make it worse. Drama. How often do you ever hear somebody say, if you have, let me know, because I've never heard this. Have you ever heard somebody say that they have a small cold? I just have a little cold. No, they say they missed work or an appointment or they're in bed or they're not feeling good because they have a bad cold or a terrible cold. Drama's everywhere. It gets us attention and frees us from responsibility. Those are the two big things it does. There's a whole list of other things that are in the victim book, but I'm not going to go through all those. And then the last one, poor me. If I portray my situation as sufficiently painful or pathetic, then I become the lead actor in my own drama. See, it's people who engage in drama have this all figured out. But drama isolates us from people. It focuses everything on us. In other words, it's incredibly selfish. It blinds us to reasonable choices. How can you make a reasonable choice when you walk around going, oh, look what's happened to me, how terrible this is. This is impossible. I have a million things to do. There's no reasonable course of action to those words. And does a lot of other things. And yet we all know people more than we realize, usually including ourselves, who appear to thrive on drama. I know a woman who breathes drama like air. Not kidding. She'll just be sitting in a chair and just start making stuff up. I mean, out of nothing. She doesn't need a prior event. So why do they do it? Why do we do it? What do we get from it? Like I said, we get attention. You walk into a room of people and you cut your wrists, either physically or emotionally. Drama, and instantly you have the attention of everybody in the room. Immediately. Power. When you dramatize, you control the reactions of other people. Watch somebody who's telling a story dramatically and observe how everybody else is responding to them, which means they're being controlled by the storyteller. Lack of responsibility. If I dramatize my pain, it hurts so bad. Then who's ever going to ask me if I, for example, took the wet clothes out of the washing machine and put them in the dryer? If I did some mundane task I promised to do? Never. Nobody. Because drama takes center stage and responsibility for everything else, including the story that you're telling, takes a back seat. And it gives people a feeling of being alive. So many of us have no real sense of purpose, so life becomes, well, meaningless. It's just one unending series of empty tasks and activities. Drama serves to create an energy that simulates being alive. Huge. If somebody tries to talk a drama addict into good sense, pointing out that it's not as terrible as they thought, they uniformly respond with, and here's one of the hallmarks of people in drama, you just don't understand. And then they dive back into retelling the story. That's another characteristic, by the way, telling the story over and over and over. There are people that I speak to occasionally where I could number their stories. This is story number 3. There's parts of 4, but we didn't get all of it. They repeat themselves over and over. They dive right back into the pool. And if you don't listen, they'll stomp out of the room. So the difference between drama and not, read the blog that I talked about. That's the biggest thing that blog offers that I'm really not going to talk so much here about, other than I said that drama is disproportional to the event.